Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today we have an exciting review for you. It's the Null Knives Ghoul. And the reason I'm dropping this review today because he's having a live drop this Thursday, September 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The OEM on this knife is Riot, and we have two first for Null Knives on this knife, and we'll talk about them in a minute. This beauty combines a sleek design with high performance materials, and I can't wait to dive into all the features. First off, let's talk about the specs. The Ghoul measures 7.2 inches overall with a 3.05 inch clip point blade made from S90V steel. For those who might not know, S90V is renowned for its exceptional edge retention and good corrosion resistance, making it a fantastic choice for a pocket knife. The blade on this one has a nice belt satin finish on your primary grind, beautiful top swedge to thin out that tip, and have a nice and bulky tip right there for piercing task. And we also have fullers on both sides of the blade that can also be used for deployment. We'll check that out later. You have a little bit of a thumb ramp right here. Nice fine cut jimping that grips the finger very nicely. I think it would have benefited a little bit more just to bring it out almost all the way to this point, but jimping doesn't really bother me here nor there, whether we have it or don't on my pocket knives, unfortunately. We have a pretty well executed sharpening choil. Looks like it starts to thicken up around right here. So you should have, I'd say 3-4 sharpenings before you may have to do something about that, or it may start to widen at the heel. I can't say for certain because this is a prototype. I'm not going to do any sharpening on this knife. You got a nice flat grind, and it feels like it comes down fairly thin. Let's see how it performs. Even though this knife has a little bit more belly than I'm wanting, you could see there before that I did some fairly long cuts. You got to kind of do mainly a push cut, and then at the end you can kind of do a little slicing motion. But once you get to that belly, if you're, pulling your wrist, it's going to start to slide out. So testing the ergos, and I went straight to the, pressure cuts just to see what I feel. And it was good all the way till the very, very end. The handle at the very butt of the knife kind of peaks up, and if I'm really bearing down, I can feel that. But other than that, it was good. This is a prototype, so he said I could do the testing. I didn't want to go crazy, and mess up his knife or anything. So we don't do all that much on the sisal rope, but I will say it's push cutting it with ease. And I don't even know if this has been used before me. I've done some of this test a long time ago, and I've unfortunately had this knife for a really long time. Feel really bad about that. It was in my return pile. But I'm glad I was able, he reached out to me and said he's doing a drop, this Thursday, September 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I think I'll say that in the video as well. So that worked out perfect. At least, I'm hoping he's okay with that. One good thing about the belly, all this type of cutting on a flat cutting surface is going to be very easy. If you need to make more delicate cuts, you could use that belly to do it. And of course, there's pros and cons to every blade shape. I thought this one did very well. It was comfortable. It was slicey. It's going to depend on your hand size to determine how the ergos will be in your hands. But for me, it was good. Like I said, I didn't really feel any hot spot until the very end. Whenever I was bearing down, a lot of knives give me a hot spot at that point. Moving on to the action. Now we talked about some first, and one of those first is this is their first front flipper and fuller deployment. And let me tell you, the action is incredibly smooth and snappy. It flips open effortlessly. As you can see there, I'm not even that good at front flipping. The fuller deployment, effortless. And whether you're a seasoned knife enthusiast or new to pocket knives, you'll love how satisfying the deployment is on this knife. Now the design of this knife is at another spot where it shines. You have some titanium scales. The titanium scales not only look stunning, but also provide a lightweight yet durable handle. This particular variation has like a black wash. I'm guessing that's a PVD coating. You have a nice slight contour on those titanium scales. I like the little micro milled lines here and here. Just gives it some added flair. You got nice large chamfers going all the way around, softening those edges. And you have somewhat of a decorative spiral-like pivot that is countersunk, flush with the scales. And you have Torx T8 hardware throughout. Excellent job. You have a interesting looking titanium backspacer with a ball groove milled out in the middle, a hidden lanyard spot for all the lanyard people out there, and the titanium backspacer has been anodized bronze. Looks nice with the black titanium. Along with that titanium pivot screw, you have the same design on the opposite side, along with the micro milling, which I think looks really, really nice. And then you have the anodized hardware. If you look over here, you have a nice clean show side. You don't have any holes in this section. They put the screws on the opposite side. And when it comes to Null Knives, he is an artist. You know, his designs are very functional looking, and I think they all look aesthetically pleasing. He went as far as making the pocket clip kind of look like the actual open knife. You see way too many just plain clips, which is fine, but I like whenever people spice it up sometimes. It makes it kind of exciting. This is a tip-up pocket clip, right-hand carry only. I don't know if he has lefty versions or not. You'll have to check the site. And by the end of this review, if you're interested in picking up one of these, I will have it linked down in the description. Make sure it's not before the 19th because it will say sold out. The milled titanium pocket clip is another highlight. It's blind screwed, which means there are no visible screws. It's screwed from the inside, giving it a clean, sleek look. And even though it's not a deep carry clip, it does sit fairly deep in the pocket. That's all the knife you have sticking out, which is deeper than some of my deep carry clips. It goes in and out of the pocket nicely, hugs this side of the pocket, and being that you have a front flipper and the fuller deployment, you don't have any flipper tab on the back side, so if you need to put your phone in there or something, you don't have anything it's going to rub against. Being that this is an inset liner lock, you don't have a lock relief cut out to where this could get bunched up. It goes in and out of the pocket nicely, and it holds it in there nicely. They did a really good job of pocketing out the inside of the titanium frame to reduce weight, and you can also see you have the Ghoul prototype. I'm guessing that it'll have the Ghoul written on the inside like that. Brings your weight to 101.4 grams or 3.576 ounces. Very nice. The lockup on this knife I'd say is around 40% or so. Access to the lock bar is outstanding. This little chamfer comes down a little bit lower than the lock side, and look at that nice large chamfer they have on the inside. And they also have some texture. It is so comfortable to get my thumb in there. Very easy to do, but not too open to where it's dangerous when you're using the knife, or at least I haven't found any issues with it. You have a nice large lock bar, good engagement there. Your lockup, very tight lockup on this one. Super tight. And I'm not going to do any spine wax with this because this is a prototype, not my knife. Now for some size comparisons, we have the Ontario Rat Model 1 and 2. It's more similar in length to the Rat 2. Next we have the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. It's almost identical to the Para 3 in length. And lastly, it's quite a bit smaller than the Null Knives Voodoo. And it's just a hair shorter than the CRK Sebenza 31 Small. All right, I only really have one nitpick on the knife because, it's a beautiful design. Everything's done to perfection, being that Riot is the OEM to this knife. Maybe pushing that plunge grind all the way back here, but you should have a good bit of sharpenings, especially if you don't reprofile that edge. But for me, I have a medium-sized hand, and anytime I see this like this, I get a little nervous. Fortunately, my hand fits, look at that, right there, in there. So it's a compact folder, and for all the day-to-day EDC chores, it's perfectly fine. But like I said, during the wood shaving where I'm kind of testing the ergos, when I really started bearing down, really hard, this was starting to slide back on the hand, causing a minor hot spot. Now, do you plan on using a knife like this, like that? Maybe, I don't know. But for me, it's EDC chores. I'm not tactical or anything. And, if you have large hands, it might even fit you better because the pinky may sit on this back portion. You could put a lanyard if you needed to. I can't tell you for certain. But for me, like I said, it was comfortable all the way until I'm exerting a lot of force into something. Now, my final thought. So, who is this knife for? If you're looking for a high quality, aesthetically pleasing pocket knife that performs very well in everyday situations, the Null Knives Ghoul is a fantastic option. The combination of its materials, design, and smooth action makes this a standout piece in anybody's collection. Now, they're definitely not cheap because, like I said earlier, it's OEM by Riot. But I don't think it's out of line for the caliber of knife. The price on these start at $325. Especially this is a small run. You know, Null Knives isn't a Blade HQ or anything. You can't get 5,000 pieces, so the price is going to be up there for it. I know personally. And also you can experience 2 firsts from Null Knives. Like I said, the front flipper and this thick inset liner lock. So if you're okay with the price and everything else I talked about, like I said, this will be linked down in the description if you're interested in picking one of these up on the drop on the 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be it for today's review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video, comment, and of course, subscribe if you like knife and gear content. Let me know your thoughts on the Null Knives Ghoul in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace!